Do you ever feel overwhelmed by the ever-changing world of technology? Tech It Out can help make some sense of it all. Breaking down geek speak into street speak, technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman covers consumer technology each week for every listener. Mark tackles the latest news, reviews, and how-tos to help you understand what's hot, what's not, and why.
Hey everyone, welcome to Tech It Out, episode number 65. Thank you for tuning in to this weekly program and podcast syndicated by the Radio America Network. Apologies for the extra nasal voice this week. I don't know, I just got off an airplane and sometimes I just find myself congested. Does that happen to you at all? I don't know, something to do with the air pressure, I don't know. But I digress. We do have a great show, though, planned for you this hour. We're going to chat about properly wiping your smartphone data before you trade it in or sell your phone or donate it. We'll also talk with TiVo about its new over-the-air solution for cord cutters. And we're going to learn about podcasting and how to monetize it with the author of a new book, Let's Talk Podcasting. Her name is Amanda Cupido. All of this and more coming up on today's Tech It Out. All right, let's kick things off. It's October, which is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And so what better time to talk about properly removing your information from smartphones, tablets, and laptops before you trade them in or sell or donate them or hand them down to someone. You don't want your data falling into the wrong hands, in other words. And so we have an expert on the line to walk us through what to do. It's Todd Zegers. He's the Vice President of Ingram Micro's ITAD and Reverse Logistics Division, which is responsible for wiping data from computers from big businesses, including industries like banking, education, insurance, healthcare, and others. Welcome to the show, Todd.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate you having me today.
Sure thing. Now, before we talk about how to properly wipe our data clean from devices that we may be getting rid of, tell us a bit about Ingram Micro and what ITAD stands for exactly, the work that you do specifically within Ingram Micro.
Sure thing. So Ingram Micro is the largest distributor of technology around the world. I think we operate in over 40 countries around the world, providing distribution services primarily focused around electronics, so computers, monitors, laptops, networking, and miscellaneous peripherals, et cetera. The ITAD business unit that I oversee is really focused on the reverse logistics side of the business. So ITAD stands for IT Asset Disposition. It's not a very well-known term in kind of the general population, but within the asset management community of large corporations, it's a very well understood term. So our primary focus is working with Ingram Micro's customers and resellers to provide asset recovery services when large corporations or even small corporations get rid of their old electronics. The asset, what I would, not so much the actual physical asset itself, but rather the data that resides on those physical electronic devices is really where the value in the IP of companies resides. So our focus is really trying to make sure that there's a secure chain of custody and a customer can track where the devices went and when. And we have a certified process to ensure that none of their data, whether that be the actual software, the data on the device itself, or an actual asset tag or sticker that may have the company's identifying information on the device as well, is removed or destroyed.
Okay, so I work for a big bank. We need to get rid of 5,000 outdated computers, and we purchased 5,000 new ones. We may be using a distributor that offers reverse logistics like Ingram Micro to take back that gear, clean it up, and either dispose of it, send it back to the manufacturer, or resell it in some sort of safe and secure manner.
That's correct.
Okay, got it. All right. So with that in mind, I mean, I can't think of, Todd, anybody better to talk about, even on the consumer level, what we should be doing before we trade up that old iPhone or sell a Android tablet on eBay or donating it to a charity, maybe a church or a community center. Before we do all that, even if we're not tech savvy, there's a few things we can do in order to wipe our data clean. There's kind of a right way and a wrong way, and then there's, of course, not doing anything at all. So let's start with phones. So let's say we want to trade up our phone, get rid of it. How should we get rid of our personal information so it doesn't be seen by anyone, either intentionally or accidentally?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first kind of basic line of defense is doing a factory erase. So your iPhone or your Android devices typically have a setting in there, whether it's a Samsung or Apple or other kind of tier one manufacturer, that are typically pretty good. I know there are rumors out there that there's various ways potentially to access information after those erases are done, but for the most part, you should be pretty safe there. Mm-hmm. That's the first and foremost way. The secondary way is to leverage a small company. There's various companies like Data Doctors, for example, in Arizona, where you could take it down. They can provide those types of services on kind of a consumer level type effort to certify that it's been erased. But there are other third-party products that you can buy online or through the web where you can download those erasure agents and actually erase it and have a certificate showing that it was properly erased by that kind of third-party software, as well as kind of a time and date when that was actually done. Now, that's all assuming, of course, your phone is operational. So if you've got an old phone that's no longer operational, maybe the battery said there was a problem with it, there's still data sitting on those chips or drives inside the phone. So how do you access that? That's where the kind of the big challenge comes in, right? So you trade in that phone, they can't power it up, they can't sell it. A lot of times those are going to go to recyclers that are just selling it off by the pound. That then goes to people who are disassembling those devices, and your data is still residing on those chips outside the phone. So that's where it gets a little bit dicey, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a good point, Todd. So if we can turn on that phone, tablet, or laptop, then there are tools to, I think it's called scrub the drive clean, whether it's a hard drive or a flash-based drive like an SSD. But if it doesn't turn on, that doesn't mean the data is gone from that flash drive. It just means you can't access it because of a battery problem, a screen issue, or maybe the motherboard is damaged. But you're right, that still puts your data at risk. So in that case, should you not trade it in, or should you physically destroy it with a hammer? What's your take on that?
Well, if it was my phone, the answer would be no. Yeah, if it was my phone and it didn't power up, I would absolutely not go trade it in until I can verify that the drive has been removed, or the chips have been removed and either scrubbed or destroyed.
Right.
The thought of running it over with your car, hitting it with a hammer, is obviously not a good option, because these screens have different type of chemicals and component elements in there that are not very environmentally friendly.
Right.
Not to mention the fact that you might slice your finger open while trying to do something like that.
Yeah,
so
good point.
Your best bet. Yeah, I mean, your best bet if your phone is not operational and you've got data on there is either to take it to one of the manufacturer warranty repair type centers that get it fixed for you to get it to turn on, and then erase the data and then trade it in, or take it to a reputable certified recycler that will actually physically open the device properly, pull the drive out and destroy it, and give you a certificate of destruction so it was properly destroyed and done in the right fashion.
Yeah, great advice. Thank you. So going back to what you said earlier about smartphones and tablets, I heard the same thing that you have, and all the experts I talked to say that any phone over the last couple of years, say 2015 and newer, has an encryption built in, which means you can use the factory data setting, the factory erase setting, and it should be just fine to wipe that data clean properly. Prior to 2015 or so, you would maybe opt for a third-party tool that would go through, comb through all those zeros and ones on that drive to really ensure that nobody can access it who's tech savvy. But if it's a computer, it's a different story altogether. There's still tools that is recommended to download and scrub that hard drive clean, which in some cases makes it inoperable before you trade it in or donate it. Any thoughts on that? Are there any third-party tools you want to recommend? I've heard a couple of ones called CBL Data Shredder, but there's a few out there.
Yeah, the industry leader in our space, at least, is a product called Blanco. They also bought a product called D-Ban years ago, which is Dave's Boot and Nuke, which is a kind of an internet freeware that's pretty popular to use out there.
I remember that. Bottom line is, don't just delete your files and think it's gone. Don't even just go to the recycling bin if it's a Windows computer or a Mac and think it's gone there. You need to properly get rid of that data before you consider trading it in. So good advice. We're chatting with Todd Zegers. He is the Vice President of Ingram Micro's ITAD and Reverse Logistics Division. ITAD refers to Information Technology Asset Disposition, which refers to the proper disposing of obsolete or unwanted equipment in a safe, secure, and ecologically responsible manner as well. So with that in mind, Todd, for those listening who run a business and they would consider using Ingram Micro's ITAD services, tell us about the process. How do they get the ball rolling, and what separates Ingram Micro's ITAD services from other companies out there?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think the standard response is, go to ingrammicroitad.com and click the Contact Us link and send us some information. But once we receive all the information as far as the number of devices, the location of the devices, and what exactly you want done with those devices, some customers want us to resell everything we can to help get our value recovery back and help offset the service fees or potentially get a check back and net proceeds. Some customers just want to have everything destroyed. So once you decide how you want all that done, we'll arrange to send our crew out there, pick up all of your equipment. We'll put it on pallets, shrink wrap it, bring it back into our facilities. We'll go through a standardized process where we're going to capture all the details around the assets, so the make, model, serial number of each device. We'll do some basic level testing and functionality tests on the equipment to see if it still does operate and has secondary market value if you want us to try to sell those devices for you. Anything that has any sort of data on it, whether it's a multifunction printer with a hard drive on it, whether it's a phone, whether it's a loose hard drive, whether it's a USB stick, we'll treat those devices, whether through physical shredding or erasure, prior to resale. And then once everything is either sold or recycled, depending on what you want done with it, we give you a full audit report at the end showing everything we picked up from you, when we took it, who took it, if it's sold, how much it's sold for, what your share is of that value. The company with that will be a certificate of data erasure and destruction, basically indemnifying you from any sort of liability that may arise from sort of data breach or loss of that asset.
All right. Very interesting stuff, Todd. The website, once again, is ingramicroitad.com, and you'll read why you can't afford not to use services like this for your business. And again, thank you for sharing those consumer tips as well, Todd. Pleasure chatting with you. Have a great rest of your weekend.
Likewise, Mark. Appreciate the time.
Before we continue on with this show, a quick shout out to my awesome sponsor, ASUS. Tech It Out is powered by ASUS. They create technology for today and tomorrow's smart life. For those in search of incredible, visit asus.com/US/radio for more info. That's ASUS.com. When we return, we're going to chat with TiVo. So don't skip these commercials. We'll be right back.
Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want. Find the Tech It Out podcast at iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. When it comes to TV, it's no secret many are cutting the cord today, but that doesn't mean you need to give up selection and flexibility. In case you missed the news, TiVo recently announced TiVo Bolt OTA, which of course stands for over the air. It's a new antenna-based product with an integrated 4K DVR that can save you some serious cash over time. Joining us on the line to discuss is Ted Malone. He's the VP of Consumer Products and Services at TiVo. Welcome to the show, Ted.
Thanks a lot, Mark. I appreciate you having me.
Before we talk about TiVo Bolt OTA, cord cutting is real, correct? I mean, people are questioning, I think, the value proposition offered by their cable company today. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think TiVo has had an OTA product for a while. Our former product was called the Romeo OTA, and we've seen our market of OTA customers, people who feel like they get all the television they need from an antenna. We've seen that market growing by about 10% year over year in the TiVo installed base. We also still have a regular TiVo Bolt called the TiVo Bolt Vox, which is specifically designed to work with digital cable. And so we see these products as being complementary. The OTA product is, as you say, targeted at those people that have decided to cut the cord, but they're still maybe missing some of the live TV channels that they used to get from cable, and they realize that they're available in very high quality using just an over-the-air antenna. And then we also have the Bolt Vox product, which kind of gives digital cable customers the ability to maybe upgrade the experience to something maybe a little bit more advanced than what they get from renting a box from their cable company.
All right. Got it. Thanks, Ted. So it's not a one-size-fits-all scenario. You have various products for different kinds of customers who have different needs and different budgets. So this new product, the TiVo Bolt OTA, is the evolution of your over-the-air product solution. And this one does fold in an antenna with a 4K DVR. Maybe at a high level, you can talk to us about this new product and what separates it from the ones that came before it.
Yeah, okay, great. Yeah, so the TiVo Bolt OTA is, as you said, it's a standalone DVR. It includes inputs for an HD antenna. So the customer would provide their own antenna or purchase one from Best Buy or Amazon, whoever their preferred retailer is. And then they would connect the antenna to the input of the Bolt OTA. And the Bolt OTA provides 4 tuners, which allows you, using one antenna, to actually record or watch up to 4 live programs at the same time.
Oh, cool.
So the TiVo Bolt OTA could be recording maybe Fox, NBC, CBS, and PBS all at the same time and recording onto its internal 1 terabyte hard drive for viewing later. And that equates to about 150 hours of HDTV programming.
Now, I mentioned that it also supports 4K. So there are 4K antennas out there. Presumably, I haven't used one myself. So some stations are offering 4 times the resolution of HD. Is that right?
There are. I think what you're referring to is ATSC 3.0, which is in the very early stages of testing in the United States for 4K over-the-air broadcasts. That is not available nationally, and the technology standard is still being finalized. So this product, the Bolt OTA, while it does support 4K programs, it only supports 4K from OTT services right now. So that would be Netflix, Vudu, Hulu, YouTube, etc. So it's the streaming services that have a wide catalog of 4K right now, and we're still working to understand how to roll out support for 4K broadcasts.
Got it. Thanks for the clarification, Ted. We're chatting with Ted Malone. He's the Vice President of Consumer Products and Services at TiVo. We're talking about a new product called the TiVo Bolt OTA. So because depending on where you live, you'll get a different assortment of stations that are available. Does the interface change, or is this TiVo's interface on how you pull up pre-recorded content on that hard drive?
That's a great question, Mark. So when a customer brings the TiVo Bolt OTA home and they go through the setup process, they'll enter their zip code so that we understand what channels they should be able to receive. And then we will scan their antenna signal to match what channels they get via antenna to the channels that are available in that area. And that allows the Bolt OTA to display an on-screen program guide that shows all of the channels, their channel names, channel numbers, a description of what's on now versus what's coming up over the next 14 days. And they can then schedule reminders to view a program. They can schedule what we call a one pass, which tells the Bolt OTA to record every episode of a specific program and store it on the local hard drive for later viewing. So we really, the TiVo takes care of everything that you described so that we put everything available via antenna into a nice, clean user interface.
Speaking of the interface, I know voice is becoming a popular way to work your technology, whether it's a smart speaker like an Amazon Alexa or a Google Home, or some remotes with either a cable box or like a Roku or so. Does this new TiVo support voice commands?
Yes, the TiVo Bolt OTA comes with a Vox remote. We call it a Vox remote. It's the TiVo Bluetooth remote that has a built-in microphone, and there is a microphone button on the remote. So if you want to search for a program or change channels using the name, you can press the voice button on the remote and say, watch NBC, schedule a one pass for Modern Family, or something like that, and then the TiVo will process that voice command and act accordingly.
We'll continue our chat with TiVo when we return. Stay with us.
Want to follow Mark? Google him. Mark with a C and Saltzman with a Z. Breaking down geek speak into street speak. This is Tech It Out. Tech It Out with technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back to Tech It Out, everyone. We're chatting with Ted Malone. He's the VP of Consumer Products and Services at TiVo. We're learning all about the new Bolt OTA product. It works with an antenna that you purchase separately, but it does have a 4K DVR and, of course, TiVo software. And before the break, Ted, we were talking about some of the voice-enabled features of this product.
Great. Okay. TiVo also provides support for Alexa devices, as you've said, what Amazon calls a video skill. So if you go into your Alexa app on your phone or your tablet and you go to Alexa skills, there's a TiVo skill that you enable, which is free at no cost to Alexa users. And you enable the TiVo skill, and then you pair it with a TiVo box in your home. And then whenever you want to make a channel change command, you can say, Alexa, watch NBC, or Alexa, bring up the channel guide, or Alexa, skip commercials. So just using your voice and an Amazon device, you can control a lot of the basic functions of the Bolt OTA.
All right. There's a couple of ways that you're integrating voice into the TiVo Bolt OTA. And then finally, Ted, how much does it cost? What do you predict people can save over the long term by leaving the cable company out of the equation? And where can we learn more about this product?
Great. Okay. So the retail price for a Bolt OTA is $249.99. And that's for the 1 terabyte 4-tuner Bolt OTA that I've been describing. And then there is a subscription fee to the TiVo service, and I'll explain in a minute what you get from the TiVo service. But the TiVo service is an additional $6.99 a month, or $69.99 for a 1-year subscription. Some people who really would rather not pay for a recurring subscription fee will choose what TiVo calls the all-in plan, which is $249.99 as well. So you can think of that as kind of a one-time upfront service payment, and then there's no future recurring fees.
Okay, got it. And the antenna is sold separately, just to clarify. You're on your own for that, but they're not too expensive.
The antenna is sold separately, and we recommend that consumers go to antennaweb.org. That is a wonderful website that you can punch in your own address, and it will help you determine whether you need a small antenna or a large antenna, whether it possibly needs to be directional, those kinds of things. So it's a really good tool to understand because not everybody needs the same type of antenna. I also promised you I would tell you what a consumer gets with the TiVo service fee. There's several things that TiVo offers as part of our service that are not available from anybody else. And these unique features and services that we run are part of the reason why we charge a service fee. So in addition to things like program guide data and software updates and the kinds of things you would expect from any connected device, TiVo also delivers commercial skip tags, which are delivered directly to the TiVo box over broadband connection from the TiVo service. And so when you're watching a recorded program, there's an accompanying button on the TiVo remote that's just labeled skip. And you press the skip button whenever you get to a commercial break, and it will jump you right to the end of the commercial and start playing your programming again. So that feature is much more advanced than a lot of what other people do, where you have to fast forward and then watch for the end of the commercial break and then maybe back up a little bit. We take all the mess out of it and just have this one button skip function. We also have a feature we call Quick Mode, which allows you to watch maybe a slow program that might be, say, a golf match or a soccer match, something where maybe the action's a little bit slower. We speed it up by 30%. So that you can watch the program a little bit faster, kind of like listening to a podcast in 1.5 times speed. But we adjust the audio so that it doesn't make everybody sound like they're all pitch shifted and they sound like raccoons. So our feature takes care of that. We also offer a continual care warranty along with our monthly and annual service. And for the length of the time that you own your TiVo Bolt OTA, if there's any sort of failure, whether it's a hardware failure or a hard drive crash, we will repair your TiVo box for $49. And that is an ongoing service. Think of it as an extended warranty that makes sure that your device continues to function, because we understand that these devices are an investment for our customers, and that we want to make sure that it stays functioning for them. So this continual care warranty allows them to have access to that $49 repair fee. So we feel like when you look at a lot of the advanced features and services that we provide, people will understand why we charge $6.99 a month.
And how much does TiVo estimate customers will save over a period of time?
So for somebody who has made the decision to cut the cord from cable and go to antenna, we estimate that the average consumer would save about $800 over a 3-year period. by reducing their cable fees.
Wow. Yeah, I read that in the press release, so I wanted to ask you about that. That's a significant number. And what's the best website to learn more about TiVo Bolt OTA?
So TiVo.com, that's TiVo.com, is a great way to learn about both the Bolt OTA and the Bolt Vox for cable. And it's also available nationally through Best Buy stores and online from bestbuy.com or amazon.com.
All right, Ted Malone, thank you very much for your time, and best of luck with TiVo Bolt OTA.
Thank you, Mark.
You know, it's interesting talking about cord cutting with TiVo. We are, I believe, about to enter the third stage in cord cutting, and here's what I'm predicting. So the first stage was the landline. Just with the growth of mobile phones and, of course, smartphones, we really don't need a landline much anymore. Everybody, even kids, are getting their own smartphone, for better or for worse, so why pay for a landline? The second stage in cord cutting was cable, where a lot of people are saying, you know, I love these over-the-top solutions like Netflix or Amazon or what have you, Hulu, and over-the-air options like antennas, and as what we're learning about TiVo, that, you know, maybe I don't need to pay through the nose for cable anymore. Then the third stage, I think, will be Wi-Fi, not needing a router at home and paying for an internet service provider, because your cellular provider, your mobile phone provider, like Verizon, Sprint, T-Mobile, AT&T, they're the ones that are going to have fast enough 5G connections everywhere, and all your devices connected to it, that you really don't need Wi-Fi in the home. Anyways, we'll be right back with more Tech It Out on the Radio America Network.
Breaking down geek speak into street speak. Tech It Out, hosted by Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back to Tech It Out, powered by ASUS, creating technology for today and tomorrow's smart life. ASUS, for those in search of incredible. Visit asus.com/US/radio for more info. That's asus.com/US/radio. In fact, I'm recording this radio show right now on a ZenBook laptop. Cool stuff. And speaking of radio shows and podcasts, if you like radio, you'll love podcasting. While not entirely new, these digitally distributed shows are available on demand, so you can listen to them whenever you like on a number of devices. And whenever there's a new episode available, it's pushed right to your phone, tablet, computer, or wherever else you like to listen or watch, as podcasts can also be video and not just audio. And the best part is you, yes you, could also be the host of your own podcast. To tell us more, joining us on the line to chat is the author of Let's Talk Podcasting, a new book, Amanda Cupido. Welcome to the show and congrats.
Thanks, Mark. I'm excited to be here.
So for full transparency to our listeners, we know each other as you used to work at News Talk 1010 in Toronto, where I host the Tech Talk radio show. And you were nice enough to ask me to write a testimonial of your book for the back cover. So thank you for that.
Yes, and thank you for the kind words. I appreciate you taking a read of the book and supporting.
Yeah, it's great. And I think the timing is perfect because podcasting is starting to really take off. Now, before we talk about your book specifically, Amanda, and what you're looking to achieve with it, I did highlight a few advantages to podcasts over traditional or terrestrial radio earlier. But what's your favorite thing about them? Is it the sheer selection of content?
I mean, the selection of content is obviously a really great piece to the whole industry. There's a lot of niche audiences that are being served that before maybe weren't. For instance, there are history lovers out there, and there might not be a radio station that has back-to-back programming about history, yet there are so many podcasts that are very popular that are focused on historical storytelling. So I really do love that aspect of it. But I think what I love most is the intimacy that it provides. And with podcasts, because there tends to be less ads and more of a bond between hosts and their listeners, you find that some of these podcast hosts are becoming like massive celebrities. People feel like they know them. And which has then, made the industry spin out into a whole other different way where these hosts are now going on tours across countries sometimes, meeting fans and doing live performances. So I just thought it was a really nice blend of the intimacy that you get from radio, but also that celebrity factor that you might get with some traditional other mediums.
Yeah, great point. And again, I love also that it is on demand. It's not appointment radio where you have to listen to a show at a specific time of the day or day of the week. It's available on demand whenever you feel like listening to it. And as I mentioned, whenever a new episode is available, it's pushed right to your device. So it comes to you rather than you having to go to it.
Yeah, and that also leads to a lot of binge listening. So just like Netflix, people, they want to see a show. They don't have to tune in at a certain time on TV. They go and listen whenever they want or watch whenever they want. And that same goes for podcasts.
All right. So let's chat about your book. Let's Talk Podcasting. Tell us all about it.
Okay. Well, the book, it was actually in process of being written for the past 2 years, partially because the industry is changing so quickly, and I was always finding that I could update a certain section about it. But it's getting to the point now where I felt like I was being pulled and talked to about podcasting by so many people just within my own network. And I thought, you know what, I might as well put this in a handy form that everyone can access. So really the goal of it was to make podcasting more accessible for people. I found a lot of people were interested. They wanted to talk to me about it. They had lots of questions and were usually wanting to start one themselves or for one of their businesses, but they were having a hard time trying to get a lay of the land. And so I really tried to consolidate all of this in the book.
Right, because there's so many elements to it, right? One is to come up with an idea of the podcast. You know, what is it that I should be podcasting about is what someone probably is the first step. Then there's the recording of it. What gear do I need? Then there's the distribution of podcasts. How do I upload it to a podcasting platform like iTunes or Blog Talk or iHeartRadio or TuneIn or wherever, Spreaker? And then how do I monetize the podcast? I mean, there's so many questions that you address in your book, and it's laid out in a very methodical manner. So it's a great sort of journey to answering all of those questions. And it may not be that, you know, some people may have the podcast, but they don't know how to make money from it. Others haven't started anything. So, what I like about the book is that no matter where you are in that process, or even if you haven't started, it's really a great resource to walk you through it all.
Thank you. Yes, that's exactly what I was going for.
Right. And if you're passionate about something, like you said, like the specialty of it, like whether it's history, as you said, or my sister, for example, who loves knitting, right? It's like she subscribes to all these knitting podcasts. I mean, obviously, if you're passionate about something, chances are someone else is as well. So you may have a built-in audience already, even if you think it's terribly niche. Something we talked about earlier, Amanda, our guest is Amanda Cupido. She's the author of a new book called Let's Talk Podcasting. And I love how times have changed, Amanda, that we're no longer at the mercy of a radio station to give us the airtime. We can just, even from our own homes, create a podcast from scratch, and away you go. There's no more limitations on who's going to carry it.
Yes, it's so great and refreshing. And because of that, I think we're seeing a lot of products and podcasts being produced that they really give it justice to the story that's being told, right? So if an episode has to be 10 minutes because that's all it needs, then that's what you do. And if it needs to be a half an hour because there's more, you go for it. So that flexibility is really a nice piece of the medium.
Yeah, that's another good point. Yeah, it doesn't have to be exactly an hour if that's, what terrestrial radio dictates that the show has to be. We'll continue chatting with Amanda Cupido when we return on Tech It Out.
Follow Mark Saltzman on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want.
We're chatting with Amanda Cupido. She's the author of a new book called Let's Talk Podcasting. It covers how to figure out your topic, how to get going with the right gear, how to upload it, how to monetize your podcast, and so on. Welcome back to the show, Amanda. What would you say the biggest misconception is about podcasting, and how would you address that?
I think there's two massive misconceptions, and they're both on opposite ends of the spectrum, actually. So one of them is that podcasting is so easy. Everyone can do it. Just jump right in and go and put something online. It is really simple. But I think without proper thought and planning, people might be surprised how much actually goes into it, right? So there is a lot of production and training even and branding that goes into a successful podcast, especially those interview ones. I feel like people then, and someone like you, Mark, who's interviewing me right now, there's a lot of prep that goes into this interview. Mm-hmm. And we're not just walking right into this blind and throwing it up online. So I think people who have never interviewed someone before might sit down and try to do an interview and realize, oh my goodness, I don't know how to manage these topics. I don't know how to continue this conversation and make it sound natural. So there's that piece. And then there's the opposite end of the spectrum. There's people who are completely intimidated. They're like, I can't do it.
And you don't necessarily have to interview people for your podcast either. You could just hit record and just talk too, right?
Exactly. And this is another misconception in itself, that everyone has to have a chatcast, as I like to call it, style of podcast. There's lots of different genres and formats, which are all outlined in the book. It's very flexible. We're seeing a lot of creativity with podcasts, and that's another aspect of the medium that I love.
Okay, awesome. All right, Amanda, as we wrap up, tell us where we can pick up the book, Let's Talk Podcasting, and how much it costs.
So you can go to letstalkpodcasting.com. There's a whole list of all the places you can get it in a variety of local bookstores and also online. Depending on where you are, you can ship costs involved if you're ordering online. The book cover price is $19.95.
All right, Amanda, and could also our listeners see the podcast that you produce at that website as well?
Yes, they can. letstalkpodcasting.com, and you can click to see the podcast I've produced.
Okay, Amanda, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations on the new book. I'm wishing you much success with this.
Thank you, Mark.
Before we wrap up today's show, I do have time to answer a question or two from the mailbag. And you too can email me by going to marksaltzman.com. My name is MarkSaltzman.com, and you can shoot me an email there privately, or you could publicly write to me on Twitter. I'm at Mark_Saltzman. Again, that's Mark with a C _SALTZMAN. Jonathan writes, I'm looking for a new TV ahead of Black Friday, and I see the term HDR advertised. What does that mean? Well, thanks to a drop in prices and rise in content, your next TV will likely be a 4K TV. That's 4 times the resolution of an HD television. The picture will be incredibly clear and lifelike. So while 4K refers to the resolution of the TV, how many dots or pixels make up the picture, this isn't the whole story. Newer 4K TVs support HDR, or high dynamic range, which reproduces a wider range of brightness levels and higher contrast levels. So that's whiter whites and darker blacks. And that also means the colors will look more vivid as well. When seen side by side with non-HDR content, HDR enhanced video is incredibly bright and with, again, those vibrant colors, including some striking yellows and orange hues like a sunset or a campfire. Some new video game consoles, including the PlayStation 4 Pro and Xbox One X, also support 4K graphics and HDR lighting. Be aware, though, HDR-supported TVs may even be required for some of these 4K set-top boxes from various TV providers. You might also see TVs advertised with HDR10 Plus or Dolby Vision, both of which are even more advanced versions of HDR, and will likely come at a premium price. Well, I do have a few other questions, but I think we're going to have to wait until next week for that. We have pretty much run out of racetrack on today's show, but I do want to end off by thanking my sponsor one last time. Tech It Out wouldn't be possible without the support of ASUS, creating technology for today and tomorrow's smart life. ASUS, for those in search of incredible. Visit asus.com/US/radio for more info. That's asus.com/US/radio to take a look at all of their laptops and desktops, their ROG or Republic of Gamer line of gear. They've got smart watches, smartphones, tablets, accessories like monitors, mice, and keyboards. They've got motherboards, graphic cards, and the list goes on and on. That's asus.com/US/radio. Thank you again for your support. And thank you to our listeners. This is episode number 65 of Tech It Out. I hope you've been enjoying it. This past hour, we spoke with Ingram Micro about properly shredding data off of your smartphone, tablet, or laptop before you trade it in, sell it, or donate it. We talked with TiVo, and then Amanda Cupido, the author of Let's Talk Podcasting. Have a great rest of your weekend, everyone, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you next time on Tech It Out. Bye-bye for now.